What we often forget when it comes to climate change is that it's not an ecological issue, it is a human issue. It is first and foremost about jobs, about where people can live, about human health, about human rights. And if we really are serious about tackling climate change, the best entry point for that issue is to tackle short-lived climate pollutants.
The World Health Organization estimates to 7 million premature deaths due to poor air quality, both indoor and outdoor air quality. Now, that's a lot. 7 million is more than the burden of AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria combined. We do not know most of the time, especially in developing countries, that people are dying because of pollution. They die, but they don't know why. In many developing countries, women, essentially women, are cooking, and they are using firewood. And firewood emits pollution. We know that it has smoke. And we know that in many parts of developing countries, they also heat themselves with wood because they do not have electricity to actually do the heating. And when you lock yourself in a room with fire in the corner of the room, you are actually smoking.
And this particularly affects women and children. So it causes an increased risk of acute respiratory infections in children, which is a major killer. Also chronic lung disease, what we call obstructive pulmonary disease, which is particularly important for women who are exposed often to very, very high levels. And also in both men and women, it's a risk factor for heart disease, heart attacks.
If we have more efficient cook stoves, the deforestation rates or the amount of time that people have to collect the wood to heat themselves will be reduced.
The desert is encroaching into Nigeria at a minimum of 6 kilometers per annum. And that, you know, is causing forced migration because of the loss in farmland. It's causing intercommunal clashes. And so it's also about regional and national security. Just the provision of one technology is solving a lot of social ills. The federal government of Nigeria launched what was called a special presidential intervention for clean cooking. On an average, one cook stove will at least minimum cook for 4 people. And so if government is providing about 1 million cook stoves, it's reaching a minimum of 4 million people in Nigeria.
The black carbon is deposited in our Andean glaciers. If these glaciers that give us water melt faster, then we'll have a difficult time to provide water for our different activities, including human consumption.
There are so many co-benefits to business and society by acting on SLCPs.
It has been estimated that short-lived climate pollutants, if removed from the atmosphere, could contribute to up to 0.6 degrees Celsius. So the 2 degrees we are talking about can be reduced by almost more than half a degree if we actually reduce our emissions from of short-lived climate pollutants.
We have introduced 2 new taxes on pollution, but the difference between our taxes and previous taxes that you might have seen in other countries is that we have taxes that include both local and global pollution.
We have the all-time high amount of demand for bricks for the country of Nepal. Never before have we needed to rebuild close to 1 million buildings at once. So if the CCAC can capitalize on this very unique combination of circumstances to step in and try to provide some advice on how to rebuild kilns, as well as provide some outside information, some knowledge and expertise from other partners, these are the sort of things that we could benefit from through the knowledge sharing of the CCAC.
The human face of the CCAC that we are talking about would be reflected on how many lives can be saved thanks to CCAC actions taken by the coalition. It is not only big discussions about climate change, it is about human well-being. It is about life on the ground, not only in cities, but in rural areas. I was born in a small village, and I grew up in that village. And the pollution that we are talking about is real. I suffered from it. I did my studies with a kerosene lamp. What is new now is that solutions are there.
You see, if you do not know, it's a different thing. But you cannot have so much information about what it does to health, what it does to the environment, and do nothing. I choose to act because my sisters in Nigeria are dying. My sisters in Africa are dying. I want to be one of those people that stand up. And so, in 30 years, when my children and grandchildren ask me what I did, I'll tell them I acted. And that's what I'm doing.